No, I know.
Projection screen. What can be a projection screen? Anything. Brick wall. Look, projection screen. What happens if I move the screen out? This screen out of the way. Oh look, it's still a projection surface. We're still projecting all that stuff. It doesn't matter what's there. Why would you choose a nice white, professionally prepared surface over a brick wall?
Because you can see the color and detail better on the white screen.
Exactly.
Yeah, show them that again. The clarity is different, right? You have to pay attention, but the clarity is different. Are you okay, Curtis?
Yeah, no, your computer might not be.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Oh, whoopsie. That's okay. Have y'all been to Blink in Cincinnati? It's happening again this October. How can you
Just
describe?
There's a lot of projections up in murals in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And they like move and stuff.
So they're turning all kinds of buildings into projection screens. They're essentially creating a ton of public art.
What's that?
Pull the top piece, I can bend it. I got them all.
Yeah, you can use anything as projection surface. There are one of the cool applications I saw recently was there was a tunnel, and they kept having problems with trucks, two tall trucks going into the tunnel and causing all kinds of havoc. And they developed a warning system, a sign. Basically, it's a waterfall. At the end, once the truck has passed the point of no return, it turns on, and this wall is water. It's basically just a sprinkler system with very close sprinkler heads. So whenever it turns on, there's this sheet of water coming down, and then there's a projection of a giant stop sign that is like the full size of the wall. It's bright red, pointed right at this wall of water. So whenever the driver comes coming to it, all of a sudden there's a wall, there's a full, a road-sized stop sign right in front of them. So you can use water as a projection surface is where I was getting around to on that. So, what's that? Right. Well, and then a car can just go right through it too. It doesn't. It's not a physical barrier, so it doesn't. You can't run into something and break it, and it's immediately deployable. All we have to do is turn the light on and turn the water on and turn the light on, and boom, we have a warning system. Anything can be used as a projection surface. I've seen fog used as a projection surface, which is really hard to do because fog doesn't deal well in, it's too many dimensions.
It is a lot of dimensions.
But yeah, you can use anything as a projection surface. I don't have an example of it here. Why is this so terrible? I saw those push pins, I was like, why are there push pins in the projection screen? I didn't bring an example of it. Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I say RP screen? Rear projection screen. We have plenty of them examples over in the theater. It's plastic, and so you can project an image at the back of it, and you see the image on the other side of it. Can you use a rear projection? Oh, you can't see it. I can see that brick wall right here on the other side of this piece of fabric because I can see it through the fabric. And that's basically the way RP screen works. It's plastic material. But the projector is behind the screen and you're sitting in front of the screen. I don't have an example. Anyway, anything can be used as an RP screen. Where to get this stuff? Local fabric store? No. You can buy muslin. Typically, a fabric store will have muslin, some variation of muslin. Usually, lightweight stuff is kind of terrible, but they have it. 9 times out of 10, you're going to go to a local theatrical supplier. In this area, I would call Vincent Lighting for all this. The 900-pound gorilla. There are many others. Do your research, talk to me, find the best solution for your application.
Got it.
Rosebrand is the 900-pound gorilla, and the reason that I talk about them mostly in this class is because they have a really good online presence. But there are in every market, there is some small local vendor that's selling theater curtains. Take a walk through the Rose Brand website. Start here, Rose Brand. Blah, blah, blah. They have really good tutorials on how curtains are made, what the nomenclature is, how to talk about them. When I worked at the Plasma Park, we were doing this show. They had this giant curtain. It was this big horseshoe-shaped curtain. It had 22 motors, little winch motors on it, that raised the whole curtain up at the end of Act 1. We pushed the button and it went, and it raised, pulled all these cables, it raised this big giant curtain up and pulled it up to reveal the summer house that was behind it. It was all painted on 1/4-inch sheets of plexiglass. It was crazy. It was a wildly expensive show. But this curtain had to be sewn in a very specific manner. And so the other ATD got on an airplane, flew to New York, and sat at a desk to talk to the people at Rose Brand about how to make this curtain. I don't remember, it was like $28,000 curtain. It was crazy.
Did they keep it?
Oh, we kept it, yeah.
Has it ever been used again?
Blue fabric for days. We used it for several different things, but we never got close to using all of it and stuff. It was crazy. There was actually, it was one of my crowning achievements. I have that Rose Brand catalog in my collection of stuff because they actually printed a picture in the next year's Rose Brand catalog. There was a picture of our curtain in the Rose Brand catalog. Non-regular. Okay. Any questions about fabric? No, we good? Okay. Now I've assembled a bunch because what we're talking about is how much time do we have?
30 minutes.
Oh, I got 20.
20 minutes.
Talk for way too long. So I have assembled a collection of pictures to talk about non-regular. So we've talked about flats and platforms and fabric, and now we're going to talk about non-regular scenery. I did talk a little bit about when I talked about scenery the other day. I pointed out a lot of non-regular scenery in some of the Miami shows we've done. This is stuff that I did before I got here. Oh man, you can't see this. What happens if I turn all the lights off?
Give it a try.
I worked at Ball State University before I came here. So, these are shows that we did at Ball State University. This is a scrim. You can see a person standing right here. This was a water vessel, like a carrier water jug. This was a steel frame that had scrim applied to the front of it and had these figures painted on the front of it. And it was in at the top of the show. I don't remember if it came in, but it flew out. I think the next picture, yeah, this is the same show with the thing flown out. So you can see this big steel beam, styrofoam. It's made out of extruded polystyrene, foam insulation board. These are cardboard tubes with foam in them and cut away. A lot of this was just plywood. This was actually a muslin, painted muslin. This is actually Antigone. And what happens to Antigone at the end of Antigone? She dies. And so, Antigone is right here. The last scene of the show is Antigone hanging in silhouette, like she's hung herself. Underneath. Yeah, it was pretty dark. So, yeah. There's not one stock flat or platform or anything in all of this.
The platforms aren't platforms?
No, because it was all weird, oddly shaped. There were probably some stock stuff in there, but the upper deck, all of this was 100% custom. This whole front edge, all of this was custom. There was probably some non-custom stuff farther upstage. This is the other part of this show. This was one of the very early shows that I did when I got there. I had arrived there, I had just started working there. We were in the summer before classes had started, and I get a phone call from one of the dance faculty. And she said, they're working on these floors over here, and they're gonna have some plywood, and I thought you might be able to use it, so if you wanna come over and look at it, that might be helpful. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I had never been over to the dance facility, it was across campus. And I walk in, and it was a converted gymnasium that was a dance studio, so a big room. And the dance floor had had a problem, and a girl had tripped on it and caused a career-ending injury. And so the insurance companies had gotten involved, blah, 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 and it had come around to there was a manufacturer's defect in the floor. And so they're ripping the floor out and putting a new floor in. There were 176 sheets of 4 foot by 8 foot plywood. 176 sheets. Do you know how much plywood that is? A lot of plywood. It had these little rubber cushions glued to one side of it, so it was kind of challenging. But it was the best plywood I've ever seen in my entire life. It was way better than, if you go to the store to buy plywood, these sheets would have been like the top tier stuff you can buy. But you know, it had stuff glued to it, and it had edges on it, and all this stuff and everything else. So there was challenges to it. But 176 sheets of plywood, and that's what we made this out of. Because it was free. This is Eric. He's driving a golf cart that has blocks of foam on it, and he has roughed that out to be a Corvette. You see the shape of the Corvette there a little bit?
What was it used for?
This was, actually these are from Utah Shaker Festival. We'll get to that, and we'll go back. This is Joseph's Chariot of Gold. At the end of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Joseph arrives in his Chariot of Gold, which was a gold Corvette. It has some work to go. You'll see it here in a minute. Everybody knows Joseph. They're the go-go dancers, right? These were the rocket cages for the go-go dancers. So there was this is actually the end off of the aluminum end off of a Air Force drop tank. Mm-hmm. So you know the extra fuel tanks that they carry under the wings of the airplane? That's what that was. They bought them military surplus, we brought them in, we cut them up, and we made cones out of them for our rocket cages. There's Nick dancing in the rocket cage before he got painted. So there was a girl dancing in there on wheels. This is Eric, the same guy that was doing the other thing. He's carving this giant foam thing. It's a wooden box with big giant blocks of foam glued to it. You see it here in just a second. Look, there it is. If you go back, notice this surface right here, right here, and the nose. Okay, go back. That's the nose. This is the forehead.
Why is the
It was laying on its back.
Oh,
Okay. So this was the pharaoh, the sphinx head. Pharaoh, we call it the sphinx head. It's not a sphinx head. Yeah, it is. Think about it. This was all, this purple is transparent plexiglass. So there was lights all in both sides of it. Yeah, this brow was glued on, this piece of wood right here was glued on with expanded foam. That's the glue that we used to hold that on there, and then all of it was built one piece at a time. It's crazy. There's another picture of it. Notice the rocket cage is getting painted too. There's another rocket cage here. And there we are on stage. Finally, you notice the Chariot of Gold has shown up.
it's so scary.
Can you imagine how many pounds of glitter are on that thing?
The eyes are so scary.
It's scary in my soul. Like, yeah,
So there you go.